Hello everyone, I am Zazubaar, here to do another Kaiju Blu-ray review in the same vein as my Gamera box set review. And today we are here to review one of the most anticipated Blu-rays of the season. Yes indeed, we are here to review the Criterion Collection Godzilla Blu-ray. Yes indeed. This is absolutely fantastic. I have not seen a better Blu-ray than this yet. This is the reason why Blu-rays exist. This is awesome. This is better than Gamera, and this is even better than the now outdated Toho Masterworks Gojira. Not to say this is bad, this is just better. Let's get into why. We're going to go in the same order as we went through with the Gamera Blu-ray box set. So let's start with the cover. This is a beautiful, gripping cover. That's the one thing that really got me when I first saw it all those months ago when I first started seeing ads for it. Wow, that's gorgeous. It's a beautiful painting of Godzilla. His tail swoops into the foreground. I did it the wrong way there. It comes right out at you. It's better 3D than you saw in Avatar. He's got his back turned to us. It's ominous, it's imposing, and it feels like he's already been past us, like he's already destroyed where we're standing. Because he's already impressed us, now he's just got to impress us more. A great arced spine of Godzilla's dorsal fins. Awesome. The only thing I would have to say, and Adam Noyce, Chop Power 5, said this when he reviewed this version of Gojira a couple of weeks ago, is that this is maybe a little too bright to be a representation of Gojira. And I have to agree with him. This is just a little too bright to be the dark, very black and white, gritty Gojira. It's still gritty, don't get me wrong. All that dust in there is beautiful, and it's organic, and that's what's so awesome about this cover. But it's a little colorful. Gojira is supposed to be this dark, realistic fairy tale set in a post-apocalyptic Tokyo, Japan. I still get the post-apocalyptic vibe, but I don't get this as being a black and white movie. You can say that they're trying to attract a more modern audience, but I've got to say, if you're not a Godzilla fan, you should not be buying this. This is for Godzilla fans, and for film fans. This is not for people who are watching MTV and decide they want to go buy a Blu-ray. This is for Godzilla fans and film fans who really want to understand why this is one of the greatest films ever made, why this is a classic, why this is a masterpiece. And I'll get into why this is so good at expressing that and making me love this movie even more than I already did. But we'll get into that in a minute. Back to the cover. I love the painting, but I gotta agree with Adam, the coloring's a little off for this particular film. Titling is awesome. That is just so cool. It reminds me a little bit of 84's text font, or 85 I should say, of that Godzilla 1985 little logo. That's what it reminds me of, and that's very cool. It's very Godzilla, and it grabbed my attention right away and said, yes, this is Godzilla. And this is Godzilla in high definition. I love the little directed by Yoshiro Honda thing up there. It shows that these people know they're Godzilla and that they're respecting the film. That they're not just doing this because it's a cult classic. They're doing this because they respect the film and because they think it's a classic. I don't know why, but I love Criterion's logo. It's so artsy looking and so modern looking, yet it's respectful and dignified. And it makes Godzilla look more respectful and dignified. I also love the little tab down here, the Criterion Collection 1954. I really like that. And this almost comes off to me as like a volume in a series. And I know that's what it is, the Criterion Collection. And we've got that repeated on the spine. The spine is very similarly colored and fonted to the cover itself. And we've got a little tab down here that also says the Criterion Collection. And I love the numbering. It says, I think it says 594. Put a 1, change the letters around, that's 1954. Gotta love it. So I love the spine. It's beautiful. You put it on your DVD shelf, you're gonna get instant street cred as a movie buff. The other spine, since this, I'll show you in a minute, but this DVD or Blu-ray slides out. It doesn't just open up like a normal disc would, like the Gameras did. This actually, there's something else inside here. But unlike a lot of DVDs, Do not throw this sleeve away. If you do, I will come and find you and murder you. This is beautiful. Anyway, we already talked about that. So I also really love this spine. This also grabs my attention right away, which is what a good DVD should. If I put it on my shelf, I feel like if I looked at it, I would go, I want to watch that thing right there. Pull that out, pop it in the PS3. Let's watch that sucker. I also love the coloring on this. This is a little bit more of the Gojira that I know and love. It's not black and white, but it's got that same vibe. It's got that gritty 50s artsy vibe that I love. The title is, again, the font of the cover, and it's also very awesome. And again, we've got the Criterion Collection tab, which I also love. And now we're on to the back of the actual sleeve. Again, we've got the title repeated there. Awesome again. I don't really need to keep saying that. It's awesome. And we've got a much more in-depth description of anything that's on this disc that we had on the Gamera thing. This is much better. This is in detail, and this gets me excited to pop this sucker in. Let's get into it. Godzilla, aka Gojira, is the roaring granddaddy of all monster movies. It's also a remarkably humane and melancholy drama made in Japan at a time when the country was reeling from nuclear attack and H-bomb testing in the Pacific. Its rampaging radioactive beast, the poignant embodiment of an entire population's fears, became a beloved international icon of destruction, spawning almost 30 sequels. That's true. A thrilling, tactile spectacle that continues to be a cult phenomenon. The original 1954 Japanese version is presented here, along with Godzilla King of the Monsters, the 1956 Americanized version. We'll get into that in a minute. Blu-ray Special Feature Editions. New high-definition digital restoration. Excuse me. We'll get into that in a minute. With uncompressed monorails, whatever that says, soundtrack. New high-definition digital restoration of Godzilla King of the Monsters, Terry Morse's 1956 reworking of the original, with uncompressed monaural soundtrack. Audio commentary for both movies by, wait for it, David Cowett. He's awesome. New interviews with actors Akira Takarada, Mr. Handsome, and Haru Nakajima, Godzilla himself, and special effects technicians Yoshio Iri and Itzo Kaimai. Sorry, I'm not good with Japanese names. Interview with legendary Godzilla score composer Akira Ifukube. Watch that. It's awesome. Featurette detailing Godzilla's photographic effects. That's also awesome. It's frame by frame. It's really interesting. Introduced by special effects director Koichi Kawakita and special effects photographer Motoyoshi Tomioka. New interview with Japanese film critic Tadao Sato. That one's also very interesting. Check that one out as well. The Unluckiest Dragon, an illustrated audio essay featuring historian Greg... Oh my god. Plufugfelder? You can try that for yourself if you want. If you can even see it. I give up. You guys can try that one for yourself. Describing the tragic fate of the fishing vessel Daijo Fukuryu Maru, a real-life event that inspired Godzilla. That's also very interesting. I loved that one. Trailers for Gojira / Godzilla and Godzilla King of the Monsters, and new English subtitle translation. Plus, a booklet featuring an essay by critic Jay Opperman. That's also awesome. Now, to start with the whole high-definition thing first, why is this better than this? Well, the main reason is because it's restored to its original aspect ratio, 1:37:1. And there's more detailing on that when we get inside. We shall see about that in a minute. It's of course restored to its beautiful black and white quality. As David Cowett says in the commentary, this is how people saw Godzilla when it was first aired in theaters in 1954. And we've got all your copyright things. I also love this little description of Criterion. I'm not going to read it because it doesn't have anything to do with Godzilla, but it really describes their mission and why this is so awesome and why so many of their other Blu-rays are awesome. So, now the moment we've all been waiting for. I need epic music, but I don't have any, so we're just going to pull this thing out. Now, my first little criticism here is that it is a little tough to get out, I'll admit. You gotta pull the things back and pull it out. unless you want to risk dropping it by doing this, which I don't recommend. So, the alternative that will assure that your DVD won't, or your Blu-ray will not break is you've got to do this squeezy route. Pull it out and risk ruining your box, which I also don't like. That needs to be fixed on Blu-rays. The Gamera one had a similar problem too, but this is even worse, and I'll tell you why. Because the sleeve is very thick. It gives it this very, very expensive feel. And that's a problem when you're trying to pull it out. It's great aesthetic, but it's not good function. So, that's the box. And now on to the beautiful actual disc itself. But first, gotta show this thing off. That is awesome. That is absolutely beautiful. Now look, this is a kind of a problem only because this is not the original Godzilla design. This is, I believe, the Tokyo SOS Godzilla, and that's a little bit of a problem if you know your Godzilla suits. But it's still beautiful looking. That's clearly Godzilla when he's getting hit by the oxygen destroyer. And it almost kind of seems like a mistake that almost made it better. The spine going through the picture. It gives it this more artsy feeling. I don't know. And the Criterion Collection logo in there makes this look, again, even more artsy. However, it folds out one more. And we'll get to what that is popping up behind it in a second. That is Godzilla, folks, in all his glory on a DVD cover. Now, on to what's within. First things first. Come on, that's awesome. Sure, it's not the original Godzilla design, but it's awesome. That is just, wow. That is really, really cool. Really shows that they put a lot of work into this, that they had a lot of respect for Godzilla, and that they, too, think Godzilla is the most awesome thing ever. Awesome. The disc itself is just kind of the cover itself repeated. It's Godzilla being killed by the oxygen destroyer, but it's just a closer-up shot. And what I also really like is that Godzilla's, the title is inside Godzilla's mouth, almost like he's biting down on it like in Jaws. That's awesome. The background is a destroyed Tokyo, of course, which goes into the pop-up, which I just showed. And I believe the scene is, which would have been the equivalent to the original, is when Godzilla destroys the bridge, right before he leaves. So, awesome. The disc itself, not much more to say than I already said. Again, I love the Criterion Collection logo being in there on the Godzilla title, and again, I love Godzilla biting down on his own name. The disc itself is easier to get out than a lot of Godzilla DVDs I've encountered. It pops right out, no problem. And it pops right back in, no problem. Unlike this. Again, guys, this is awesome, but come on, a couple years and that already, and these things already broke. So, ultimately, that's partially why this is better. Thing pops out, no problem. Well, that's about it for the actual disc itself and the DVD itself, or Blu-ray itself, excuse me once more. Awesome. But we've still got one more thing to cover. I present to you Godzilla the booklet. Now, this is admittedly the only thing on the entire disc that has the original, like an actual screenshot from the original Godzilla on here. It's when Godzilla destroys the clock tower. Wow, this thing is cool. Lots and lots of images of destroyed Tokyo. Full chapter list. Full cast and crew with an awesome picture of Godzilla. Excuse me. It's funny how popular that picture of Godzilla is, and it's not even in the movie. But, still awesome. An eloquent essay by Jay Opperman about the film called Poetry After the A-Bomb. I haven't read all of this yet, but what I have read was really, really interesting. I wrote a research paper on Godzilla last year for my English class, and I did a lot of research on this essay, so I have read most of it, but I haven't read it in its entirety in one sitting. Again, that shot is in the film. Awesome picture of Godzilla. And this is just information about the transfer itself. I'm not going to read that since we're running out of time. And it pretty much speaks for how awesome it is. This is, again, beautiful quality on this DVD. I'll get in the disc in a minute, so I guess this is going to have to be 2 parts when I actually talk about what's on the DVD or the Blu-ray. So this will be in 2 parts. And the back is another awesome picture of Godzilla. And this is just production credits for the DVD itself. And on the back, we have the title Godzilla. So tune in for part 2.